Hello guys and welcome to this new video. So to continue, before we dive into coding our MVC framework, the first thing we need is to create a folder structure to organize our files. This is important for keeping our code organized and making it easy to navigate. So let's start by creating a folder. Name is LMS MVC in our docs folder, and I have already created this folder and I have opened in our code editor. So inside this folder we will create a few more subfolders. The first subfolder will be the core folder that will hold our core. This folder will contain all our framework specific code, and within the core folder we will create a few more files. The first one will be the controller.php, and it is a core folder that is responsible and basic class for all our controllers that we will create, providing methods for loading models or views, and any other function helper. The second file will be the database.php, and it will be responsible for connecting with the database and executing queries. Next we will create a class for the model, and we will add a file named model.php, and same as the controller, the model.php is the base class for all our models, providing methods for interacting with the database and performing CRUD operations. Okay, we'll add another class. For that we will create a view.php file, and it will be responsible for rendering our HTML output for the user and our user interface. And next we will add the router.php, and this file is responsible for handling the application routing and loading the appropriate controller and method based on the request URL. Another important file that we need is the functions file. This functions file will contain any helpers function that our application may need. So okay, we will need a last thing is the app.php file, and that will be responsible for initializing our application and running it. Okay, the next folder will be the app folder, not here but here, the app folder. And inside this folder we will create more subfolders, and the first one will be the controllers, and this folder will contain all of our controller classes which are responsible for processing requests and returning responses, and those classes will extend from the core controller that we make earlier. So like the controller, we need to add two more folders, one of the models and another for the views. And for the models folder, I like to make it capitalized, models and controllers. And like I said, the models will contain all of our models classes which are responsible for interacting with the database and performing operation on data. And we will create finally another folder inside the app named views, and this folder will contain all of our views file which are responsible for rendering HTML responses to the user. And voila. So what we need more, we will need nothing here in app, but we will need a config folder. We will create a config folder. This folder will contain all of our application configuration files. Within the config folder we will create two more files. The first one will be the app.php file, And the first one will be, like we said, app.php file, and this file will contain general application settings such as the application name and the page URL, for example. So let's get code. Okay, tag PHP, and we will define three constants: app name, app name. What's wrong with me today? App name, and it will be learning management system. And we will add another constant. The second one will be the app URL, and for that we will go to our browser. Like we said, we use the localhost, and then we use the name of our folder. I will run, and it works. So I will copy this link, and I will paste in the app URL. I will put it here to be clear. And the first thing is I will define the last constant, that will be if we are in debugging mode or not. For the default we will make it true. For, like we say, when we make our application, if we did something wrong or we got some errors, we will to show it. But when we set this to false, we will not able to visualize our files or something like that. And the next thing will be the second file will be the database dot php file, and this file will be similar to the app.php, but there will be the constants of the database. So we will do db connection and host for the name, the username, and the password. That's all the information we need to connect to for a database. So the first thing, for our DB connection, it will be MySQL. For our DB host is localhost, like we say. For our port, it is, we can check it in our example, and it is 3306 3306. For the name is usually, for the best database name, we will create a new database. Let's create a new database. For that we will open the example. For MySQL we will click on admin. The admin will open this page. I wish it will be faster, and we will create a new database, and the database name will be the MVC. Let's go for name. We will set the name to not MVC but Learning Management System, MVC. This will be our database name. So let's add a new database, and like that a new database was created with this name, and that's fine. For the for the user, it is usually the root, and for my root password, it is empty, and that will be good. Why this here is an error? Okay, let's do something. Why there is an error? If I remove this, it must be correct. And learning management system, and everything is good. So our database is created, our config is done. So let's keep this video short.